everyone, so today's video will be a bit of fun, you know, just things I've been thinking about, and what inspired this video was me having a shower, washing off my fake tan, and I thought, why do we have to be like this, and why do I have to be like this and spend so much time of fake tanning, beautifying myself? And then I've realized I've always been like this. So let's establish first that I am vain. We all know that. I'm just gonna make myself comfortable. We all know that, and that's fine. I like looking nice, I like taking care of myself, and that doesn't make me a bad person. But I blame my mother for it, I think. So my mom was very young when she had me. She was 19, but I think those days it was quite normal. I don't think she planned to have me that early, but she did. And my mom has always been very glamorous and always looked nice. I've never seen my mom in flat shoes. I mean, now I do, but till she was about 50, she's always wore heels. Always wore makeup, always had her hair done, and I think she treated me a bit like her doll and always used to dress me up, and I knew that looking nice was important, at least in my life, in my mom's life. As a little girl, I remember she would always do my hair, and I had like 3 hairs. She would always dress me up. So let's back up to where I've grown up. So I was born and raised in Poland. I've lived in Poland 22 years, and more than half of it I lived in communist Poland. That does not mean people have such misconception about communist Poland. We were not poor. No one was poor. There was no rich people, there was no poor people. Everybody had a job. We were just all the same. The only thing is we did not have freedom, obviously, and we did have no idea what was happening in the West, and we didn't have any access to Western products. Would it be clothes, makeup? Everything was domestic or from other communist countries. So we were not poor. Well, we were poor beginning of the 80s when the Civil War broke out, and that was the beginning of the end of communism. Actually, we were not poor. We had the money because everybody still had a job, but there was nothing in shops. The shops were empty. So as you can imagine, it was very hard to get anything, buy anything. And if you did, everybody had the same stuff. So you had to be creative. And I can't remember really how the makeup was then. But obviously it was nothing like this here. I don't know how it was here in the UK or in the US in 70s and 80s, but obviously we didn't have all the stuff that we have now. And I remember, and that reminded me about the fake tan. So I've always wanted to have tan, obviously. I've always been pale, but there was no such thing as fake tan. So what I remember I did, that just shows how resourceful and inventive and creative I was. I can't remember what they were called, but they were tiny tablets. Maybe that was iodine, I can't remember, something like that, that you used to put in the water and you'd bathe wounds, you know, for infections or anything like that. If anybody remember what it was, especially if you're Polish, please let me know. So what I used to do is run myself a bath, put few of these tablets in a bath, that would stain the water, and it was like reddish brown color, and I would soak in it, and that would stain my skin. So that was my fake tan. Obviously it was so long ago, I can't remember exactly how long it lasted, if it washed off, I can't remember. Another thing I can remember is how I was making my, there was no, you know, it just had like probably blue eyeshadow and white eyeshadow, and they were all matte. There wasn't all these different finishes, satin, pearl, you know, metallic, foiled. So I remember making my own eyeshadow to be sparkly or whatever. What I used to do, I used to take this oil, and I can't remember now what oil that was. It wasn't a camphor oil. I can't remember. It was some sort of oil. I would put it in a plastic bottle top, pour a bit of that oil, and then scrape my white eyeshadow to it and mix it all up, and then put it on my eyelids, and that would give, I mean, it wasn't sparkly or anything, it had basically like a wet look, but that was one thing that I used to do. So these are like my vivid memories of those two things. And then when I became a bit older, teenager, I remember something came out from Bobbi Brown, and I can't remember, I think it must have been a self-tan, but of course we didn't know what it was. And by then we had those shops called Pevex, which were shops with stuff from the West, and you could only go and buy it in dollars, American dollars. So you would have to go and change your money for dollars, or if you had someone abroad that send you some dollars. And I think that's where we bought it, in that shop, my friend and I. And we just thought that this was a suntan lotion that made you sunbathe quicker. So we used to smother ourselves in that fake tan and without any SPF, and lie there in the sun and being amazed how brown we are. And that was because, I only know it now, that was a self-tan. That was not SPF, that was no tan accelerator. So therefore I've got a lovely sun damage on my chest and all over my body, because that's what we used to do. We didn't know much about beauty and how to look after our skin, you know. Yeah, I've always, as a teenager, I would always use a moisturizer, because my mum used a moisturizer. Whatever she was using, I would be using. But no one then heard about SPF and how bad the sun is for your skin. So I was thinking, it's so much easier for the girls today. They have so much lovely skincare. They know so much about how to look after their skin, how to slow down the aging process because of that, and all this makeup in the world. I feel like it was hard work to looking good then, but it actually was easy because I was young. So I didn't need much. Now I've got all this stuff, but it's much harder work because I'm getting older. Another thing I always wanted to have nice is hair. I haven't been blessed with good hair. My hair was so thin. I found a couple of pictures of me as a little toddler, and you will see. My mum used to dress me up and make me this big top knot on my head. Well, not big, it was about that big, because I had like 3 hairs. So I haven't been blessed with nice thick hair. So of course, remember the perm times. I used to perm my hair, but I also wanted to be blonde. So I used to highlight my hair, not myself, hairdresser. But you know, hairdressers those days, I mean, the disasters I've had with my hair, you would not believe. I used to then highlight my hair and perm my hair. I remember one disaster where I had my hair highlighted, and I then said to the hairdresser, I want perm as well. And she didn't blink an eye, she just did it and burned my hair to crisp. I didn't know that at that time, because her being hairdresser, she really blow dried it, so it didn't look too bad. But when I've washed my hair at home and it dried, it was like an afro stuck to my head. I cried for 3 days. I didn't go anywhere. I remember when the highlights first came out and people did them through the cap, but there were some hairdressers that had, you know, like the Blue Rings hairdressers, they had no clue about highlights. And I remember, you know me, I don't have a patience. I wanted to have my hair done today. So I kept walking around my town looking for a hairdresser that would do it, and one said she would, and I said I wanted highlights, and you could hear them like whispering, and they obviously didn't know what it was. And I remember them just picking bits of my hair, painting it. There was no cap, no foils, nothing. And after a while they took it off, they washed it off, and I just had like this yellow patch on my head. It was a disaster. So here is an example of my hairstyle. Bear in mind, this is a very bad black and white photo. That's another thing. In early 70s, if you had a camera, you were it. The colored film came in a bit later. I suppose being communist country, we were technologically a bit behind as well. So please note my top knot. But I tell you something, this is black and white picture, but I remember my outfit. So my grandfather on my dad's side, he emigrated to America, left all his kids and his wife and just went. I don't know him, he's dead now. But I think when I was little, he might have sent me a couple of parcels with American clothes, and I had this set of those bell-bottoms trousers and a tunic with an elephant, and I remember that that was pale blue. So that's what I'm wearing. You can't see the color obviously, but I remember it was pale blue. My mom made me a top knot. Wait till you see that. And by then I think you could travel to the Eastern Berlin, so the communist side of Germany. And my mom went there and she brought me little wooden clogs, and they were navy. Can you imagine? I think I'm about 3 years old here, about 3, and I had this gorgeous pale blue tunic and clogs. Okay, ready? I hope you can see this. Let me see if I can zoom it better for you. So you can just see my tunic. Can you see the top knot out of my 3 hair? I think I have another one where maybe because it's such a bad quality, you can see the bell bottoms. You can't really see my clogs, but they are there. And by the way, I didn't have a stroke, I was winking. So can you see my bell bottoms? I've got them, my little clogs, and I am winking. I'm on a slide, I think. So I think I was quite a cute toddler with 3 hairs. And then I think my parents decided that to make my hair grow thicker, they should cut it, and they kept cutting it really short. And actually, I think what it was, my parents were divorced by then. When I was 3, they were divorced. My dad moved to another city, and he used to take me with him, I don't know, to visit for a week or so. And I think he decided to cut my hair, and my mum almost killed him because he made me look like a little boy. And from then on, I looked like a little boy, and I hated it. I have a picture as well, and this is another thing that I remember vividly. This was so those days in Poland, they used to do Christmas party for the employees' children. So it would be one Saturday or whatever, you took your kids to work, and in a conference room or whatever there would be a Christmas party with Santa and presents, and there would be music and dancing. And I remember this day so vividly because we are sitting by the band with the accordions and this little girl is sitting next to me who was beautiful. She had a cute dress on, lovely high ponytail, and I'm wearing polyester trousers with a sweater with a boy haircut. And I remember looking at her thinking, I wish I was this pretty. I was about 7 then. Yeah, so here is the picture. Okay, so can you see the pretty girl squatting in her pretty dress, and next to her the person with the stripy sleeves that looks like a boy? It's me. This is not about that our life's emphasis should be all on beauty and on how we look. I'm just sharing with you my story and maybe why I am like it, you know. It's my mom's fault basically, but don't get me wrong, that wasn't my mom wasn't one of those women that just told me you just have to look pretty and be thick, you don't have to go to school. No, education was very important in our house, and my mom never actually said to me you have to be pretty, you have to do this. It's just what she did and what she did with me, and I was watching her and that's what I did. So I don't know if this is because I was brought up like this, that I always wore makeup and I always liked looking nice and it was always important to me, or is it all of us women that want to look pretty, nice and look after ourselves? I think it's a bit of both. And why not? I think makeup, dressing up is so much fun. Men have their things, they love their cars. My boys are obsessed with their cars. Paul and Max just love their cars. Max spends so much money on his car. Whatever he earns, he buys stickers, he buys spoilers. Just, I said to him that your car is gonna look like a circus on wheels soon. But that's his thing. You know, some men love playing golf and they spend all their money on golf clubs and stuff that does not make sense to me at all. But then my husband doesn't understand how many pairs of shoes do you need, you know, or how many lipsticks do you need. So what I'm trying to say is I've always been like this. I don't think there is anything wrong with it. I don't think that makes me a lesser person or bad person. And if people call me vain, I'm fine with it. If I'm vain, I'm vain, but I'm not really hurting anybody by being vain. So that's my whole point. Looks are superficials, makeup, clothes is superficials, but it's all about what makes you happy. Of course, this is not the only thing that makes me happy. There are much more important things in my life that make me happy, but this does as well. And I suppose you see more of it because I have a YouTube channel. I talk about makeup, I talk about looking after our skin, you know. I might not necessarily don't think that I'm always made up. I always have makeup on, but most of the time I will just have my foundation and mascara on. My hair will be usually up because you've seen how long my hair takes to blow dry. I don't do it every day, but of course if I'm going to come on and make a video, I want to look nice. I don't want to come here, you know, with my hair, mind you, I have done it, with my hair looking rubbish. And it always makes me laugh that a lot of you know, there are some women that leave those comments that you are just obsessed with your looks, that you're just obsessed with makeup, you're just doing this. Yes, and why are you here watching? Why are you watching? If you're not obsessed, if you don't like it and it makes you so mad, Why are you watching? And then spending your precious time leaving comments. This video is not really, that's not what inspired this video, bad comments or whatever, but I'm just talking about not taking everything so seriously. We've got one life, it is not that long, and we want to spend it being happy and enjoying ourselves. And whatever makes you happy, you should do. As long, I always say it, I probably repeat myself so many times, as long as I'm not hurting anybody but what I am doing, then it's absolutely fine, and it's my choice. You know, if I want to cut up my face and have it back to front, if that's what is going to make me happy, then I'm entitled to do it. Oh, remembered another thing, hair extensions. So in this picture I am probably 20, and you know, there was no way you could get hair extensions or hair pieces those days, but I don't know where I got that one. I think it could have been one of my friends that had a family abroad and they sent it to her, and this is New Year's Eve party and I borrowed this hairpiece and I'm wearing it. So, you know, when people say, why are you suddenly obsessed with wigs? It's not suddenly, I've always been like this, and that was probably because I had shit hair. So this is me with a hairpiece. I mean, this is colored photo now. It was like a clip-on, like a half a wig almost. You can't see it here, but I remember that the color match was so off. My fringe was totally different color to the rest of it. Yeah, that's me dancing. So that was like 28 years ago. You see, I even found a way of wearing clip-on hair. And I've always loved big hair. This picture, I think this picture is here in the UK. Very early days when I moved here. So I must have been about 24. If you think that I've got big hair now, look at this. While I was looking through my, some old pictures, I found some of Paul as well, and wanted to show you this one. He will kill me for it, but I just think that Max looks so much like him. Paul is probably about the same age here as Max is now. Can you believe that this is my husband? And this is him in his 20s. I don't think I knew him then yet, but he started to lose his hair. But he was a good looking lad. Well, that was fun, going back down memory lane. So yeah, all I wanted to tell you in this is that I haven't suddenly become obsessed, enjoying, loving makeup, hair and beauty. I haven't suddenly became like that because I am on YouTube. I have always been like this since I was a little girl. So that's it. That was like my story time, real talk. I might name this series Real Talk. And let me know if you enjoyed this, if you would like any more of videos like this, or if you have any questions. I should do like a Q&A about anything, not just makeup and hair, anything that you would like to know within reason. So maybe what I will do, if you could maybe under this video leave your questions for like a Q&A video, that would be great. And if I get enough questions, then I might do that. I might also announce that on my Instagram and see if I get enough questions. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching and stay fabulous. Bye.